Miami on the move. Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, with instant analysis featuring your calls, your comments in the live chat with the Canes taking on the Pitt Panthers. And Miami, yes, on the move at the Pitt 36, second and 11. We've got 7:50 left in the game. Miami with a 2-score lead, a key stop in holding Pitt to a field goal the last time the Panthers scored to make a 28-16 game, a 28-19 game, and stop a Pitt on a 3rd and short run play. And so the defense again made a stand for Miami in the red zone, as they have time and time again during this game. And so the Canes have just converted a 3rd down into a 1st down. And again, they're on the move to try to ice this game with under 8 minutes on the clock. At the Pitt 31, I set the live stream for 3 o'clock Eastern time, thinking that we would be on the last drive or two of the game. We've got a swing pass out on the left flat, and Miami's close to another 1st down, probably have it. Another 1st down for the Canes. Mike Harley with the reception. Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Appreciate all of you joining us with a game in doubt with less than 7 minutes on the clock. Miami's in great shape with the 9-point lead and the football. Of course, if they would score the touchdown here, they make it a 3-score game. If the Panthers can limit them to a field goal with about 5 minutes left in the game, then there's still a fighting shot for Pitt to win this one. Panthers came in at 3-2, Miami at 3-1, of course, coming off the loss to Clemson. Pitt coming off a loss to BC on a missed extra point in overtime, 31-30. Miami goes to the run game inside the 20-yard line. All right. Would love to get your comments, your questions, your calls as well as we wrap it up with, again, the game not salted away by any stretch, but still Miami with a huge advantage in this one with a 9-point lead with less than 6 minutes on the clock and a drive going that's been really chewing up the time and has been key in this one. Once we get through the actual play-by-play and your comments and questions and so forth, certainly I have been taking plenty of notes on this one. There's been good, there's been bad for the Canes, but mostly good when it adds up to a win, which it is about an 85% certainty at this point, as De'Ara King runs to the outside and gets thrown out of bounds for no gain. Third down for Miami. This is going to be a key play because, of course, if the Canes get stopped here, they go for the field goal. We've not seen Borregales yet, with Miami scoring 4 touchdowns for their 28 points, but Borregales should be able to make this one if they get stopped here on a 3rd and 7. Of course, if Miami can chew up more time and yardage with a 3rd down conversion, then they would be in great shape. They've got to get to the 12 to convert. And Miami's been extremely conservative. And with Pitt's issues at quarterback, although Joey Yellen's played pretty well, although considering with Miami's defense, the trust in the defense, the trust in Lewis Headley, and maybe not necessarily a ton of trust in De'Ara King, notice how conservative Miami has been on 3rd and 7, 3rd and 10, 3rd and 12, rarely throwing the ball, and when they throw it, it's a safe throw. De'Ara King, it took forever. I noted the first pass that he actually threw downfield, and it took forever. It was late in the second quarter. Borregales converts, so we've got a 31-19 game, and considering I picked Miami to win the game but took Pitt plus the 13.5, I will certainly like to keep this baby right here. Let's go to your comments and questions in the live chat with a bit of a break in the game. John Sarian, bam, first. There he is. Sorry, but Lashley ain't all that so far. Rod Lashley's been conservative in this game. There's only been a couple spurts in which he's pushed the action, where he's pushed the tempo. Just a few of those situations. Will Sky on the line. We're helping Pitt out with this sideline offense. Pitt has certainly helped Miami with dropped passes and with penalties. So it's a typical football game in which each team could play better and could certainly help its own cause by not making unforced errors. But Pitt especially here in the fourth quarter, has really killed itself. They could have sustained a couple drives they had going with just holding onto the football. Their receivers just really hurt Young and the offense. Chris Bradford, I feel like the play calling is evident of Lashley not trusting the wide receivers downfield, maybe not trusting De'Ara King to deliver the ball in tight coverage. South Carolina over Auburn 30-19. They trailed in that one 16-7, 9 minutes left. So South Carolina could come up with a big win at home against Auburn. Hopefully you got my predictions today. Took Pitt plus the 13. Took South Carolina straight up against the money line, +3 against Auburn to win outright. Took Kentucky plus the 6 to win outright. That's a huge winner over Tennessee 34-7. Took Clemson to cover the 27 points against Georgia Tech. They're up by 59. So I think Clemson is safe. And I think, considering what Clemson did last weekend and then looking at the score against Georgia Tech, and Georgia Tech's not a great team, but Georgia Tech is much improved. Ask Florida State, ask Louisville, ask others, that Clemson is, arguably the best team in the country. We'll see Ohio State play a little bit later. And, of course, Alabama and Georgia will have something to say about that. Brandon, games are not over. Analysis is irrelevant. So certainly I don't think that the game not being over really changes things that happen in the first and second quarter. I think we can analyze those things, Brandon, if I'm not mistaken. I've not watched football for a long time, but I believe that if something happens with 4 minutes left in the game, it doesn't necessarily impact our evaluation of something that happened in the first quarter. Brandon, you're here. We appreciate you being here for these irrelevant comments and analysis. Thank you so much. Ray, it doesn't matter. Another year of undisciplined team. Yeah, there's been some lack of discipline, but consider if you, Ray, were a Pitt fan, you talk about lack of discipline costing them, not focusing on the football. We're talking about guys that are wide open with like nobody around them, like playing catch in the street open. So Pitt's going to fall to 3-3. They still have a fighting shot here, but 5 minutes left. They got the ball down 12. So got to score twice, got to score touchdowns. And Pitt bogging down in the red zone, and credit Miami's run defense. It was mostly Miami's run defense that has been the difference in this game. Joey Yellen, I've been impressed with him. The more he's played, the better he's gotten. Didn't start out great, but pressed into a bad situation with the starter, Kenny Pickett, down. They did get the catch there from Jordan Addison. This kid is impressive. Jordan Addison. And maybe the most impressive player on the field today has been Rashad Weaver. He's been exceptional. Addison's at 147 yards on 8 catches. There was a pass breakup from Bubba Bolden, who could have had an interception. Tremendous play by Bubba Bolden sometime in the first half. We'll go through it. John says, why should Lashley trust his wide receivers? Mostly true. Will Sky, we don't exploit the middle. Well, the times that Miami's exploited the middle, they've really exploited the middle. So the one thing I will say for Rhett Lashley's offense and his play calling is he is able to scheme more so than anyone else I've seen in the last few years, being able to scheme plays that free up tight ends playing H-back and running backs to leak them out of the backfield, run them behind the offensive line in some fashion from one side of the formation to the other, behind the offensive line, and leak them out and get these wide open touchdown plays like Will Mallory had, like Cam Harris had. So Miami, for just scoring the 4 touchdowns, consider the 2 of them were basically busted coverages and wide open guys that you and I could have thrown the ball to each other. And I don't know if we would have made it to the end zone with safeties and cornerbacks trying to chase us down. But you get the point. We would have run like a good 30 or 40 yards before that happened. So Lashley has been able, whether you want to blame Pitt's secondary or credit Lashley's play calling for basically creating 2 touchdowns that had nothing to do with Miami's speed, talent, playmaking ability, had everything to do with play calling. The Mallory touchdown and the Harris touchdown. 6 minutes left in South Carolina, 30-22. I will be checking out the end of that one. So I got the DVR rolling across the board. Always need to do that. So Joey Yellen's been impressive. I remember his recruitment. I've got to look up his numbers, though. But had the heat coming off the corner. Nesta blasted him on that one. So he felt the heat. And Silvera rushed him. That caused that overthrow on the 4th down. So Miami turns it over. Canes get the stop that they needed. That should do it. 3:34 left in the game. Miami 31-19. Have the ball at the Pitt 46. Now, if Pitt can just hold here, just hold it down. I got the 13. Hold it down. All right, what do we have from Chris here? I don't think he should, but even with the freshman, he hasn't taken many deep shots. Well, they didn't even throw like a 12-yard pass for almost the entire first half. And really most of the long plays weren't what you would call shots downfield. They were created plays. Ray, please fire Manny Diaz now. This team is undisciplined. Ray would like to get some clarification on that. Yeah. Again, undisciplined in certain ways. I certainly have, again, just notes galore. Just, yeah, that's only page 1, second half, on and on and on. This game is pretty much gone, I think, the way that any reasonable fan would think so, whether a Miami fan, a Pitt fan, or just a college football observer, fan, analyst like myself, that Miami's the better team. They're the more talented team. Pitt lost its starting quarterback. I don't think that would have mattered, but certainly that hurts. The inexperience of the Yellen start versus Pickett. There's a difference there. But Miami was a 13-point favorite, and Vegas had it right. You know, Miami's a 2-score better team than Pitt. But this was a competitive game. It was a good game. It was a competitive game. This was the kind of game more close, more would resemble what I expected Miami to be able to do against Clemson. Make it a competitive game. Make it a game in which it wasn't as though Clemson would be threatened, just like Miami didn't necessarily. I don't think any of you out there, once it got to 28-19, 31-19, felt threatened, but you knew that it wasn't a sure win. And that's what I expected Miami to put up against Clemson, a 10 to 14 point loss. So if Miami could if they could just hold it down here, especially with a good field goal kicker, that would be good, because I feel great about this prediction. Even if I get it wrong, sometimes, I don't know if you guys make predictions / wagers that you can feel good knowing that you nailed it. Even if there's a backdoor cover bad beat situation, that you still feel good because you just nailed the game. And I nailed the game on this one. And I'll certainly miss other ones today. All right, Ray, it looks like the Canes will win, but just ugly. I hope we don't face a top team this year. Well, you're going to face who is the best team you're going to face the rest of the year? Probably North Carolina, possibly Virginia Tech, one of those two teams. Of course, North Carolina was substantially better than Virginia Tech in beating the Hokies last week. So that would be the standard of the schedule the rest of the way. Ray, UNC. So if you consider them to be a top team, I don't, not yet. They haven't shown it. But there's the best team you're going to face unless you run the table or maybe only lose one other game and make the ACC championship game. Then it's going to be Clemson again. 73-7 over Georgia Tech. John says, so many SEC teams suck up so much of the talent of the Southeast and play mediocre. Vols, Florida, only Bama and Georgia regularly play at the level of their talent for the most part. It's a pretty good analysis right there. Kentucky plays over its talent. Ole Miss, Mississippi State, LSU, aside from last year, has played under its talent. Agreed. Missouri plays over its talent at times, but in the Southeast, to your point, that's a pretty fair analysis. Florida has played under its talent under McElwain and Muschamp. Tennessee, like you say right there, they've recruited top 15 under, I was going to say Butch Davis. So, yeah, I would agree with that comment for the most part. Texas A&M under its talent level, under Sumlin, now Jimbo. Auburn slightly under its talent level. That's typically recruited top 10 to 12. That's a fair comment, John. I think that's pretty much a fair comment. Obviously, there are a few exceptions, but it's rare. You're on the money on that one. Mr. HD says, ugly win. Rick Rude, 2 ranked SEC teams beaten. Yeah, Jordan, your teams, again, Georgia Tech is not good, but who else beats them 73-7? No one, at least on their schedule. And they've beaten Florida State, and they beat Louisville by 17. Georgia Tech is improving, and then they get that. That's a top program. That's an elite program. Mr. HD, Pitt wide receivers helped us out huge with dropped passes. Yes, we'll run them down, but yeah, it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. Jordan says we're not giving up number 1, unless you, of course, adhere to the top 25 that actually makes sense. Actually makes sense based on the performance on the field and the results on the field, not based on preseason perception, because Clemson is not number 1 in that poll, but it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Just win. Doesn't matter if you're number 1, number 3. Chris, I'll be interested to see how the deep ball passing changes. Yes, it's been inconsistent, but with the young receivers, there's more potential. Exhibit A, the Keyshawn Smith drop. Keyshawn Smith drop. I must have missed that one. How did I miss that one? I saw every play. I don't remember that one. Ray is going to start his chant. How is that chant going to go? Let's see. Chant to hire Butch Davis now. Hire Butch Davis now. Hire Butch Davis now. Hire Butch Davis now. Is that how that's going to go? Done with Diaz. You got to win here against a decent Pitt team, and you kept it under the spread. 31-19. There we go. There's our final. And we invite all of you, of course, to call 860-325-3687. And then we'll also take your comments here in the live chat. John is recording Notre Dame Louisville, and how is that Cards defense held Notre Dame to only 2 field goals so far? I think it's 6-0, yeah. As a 21-point underdog. I didn't think too much about that one, John. I went Notre Dame. Bam, going to cover. We'll see. We will see. They did not against Florida State. All right, there we go. There we go. We can certainly get a much better game on than this. And certainly join me throughout the day on the main channel, because I'll have instant analysis of hopefully Kentucky, Tennessee. I believe we're going to get that one. And, of course, after the Georgia-Alabama game tonight, we're going live. John David, King plays like he doesn't trust the offensive line and the wide receivers. All right, here are my notes from the top. You guys can tell me what you think. And, of course, noted before the game that Joey Yellen was starting for Kenny Pickett at quarterback for Pitt, and no Brevin Jordan for the Canes. Miami came into the game 25th in the country in third down efficiency at 46%. So that's a huge improvement over recent times. 25th in the nation in third down conversions. Gotta see the end of the Auburn, South Carolina game. Okay. Miami missed early on a couple swing passes. De'Ara King, not necessarily with a great touch on the screens and the swing passes. Doesn't necessarily navigate those too well. Right out of the gate, 3rd and 12. First time they had a third down, Miami. 3rd and long, 3rd and 12, draw play. And this theme would continue. Lewis Headley's a weapon, 62-yard punt. You combine that with the Miami defense. There was a kick-catch interference. So the first time Miami scored, they got the ball. They would have hit the ball at their own 40. There was a kick-catch interference on Pitt, gave him 15 yards. And then, of course, Cam Harris had the touchdown reception, which he leaked out of the backfield. We talked about it earlier. 7-0 on the Rhett Lashley play call that fooled the defense. The freshman Davis Bevel from South Carolina came into the game, played some time for the Pitt Panthers. They had a chop block. They had 3 15-yard penalties, did Pitt, in the first 5-10 minutes of the game. Really hurt. Rashad Weaver, again, had several batted balls. He's 6th in the nation in sacks. He came into the game with 17 quarterback pressures. DeMar Hamlin had a great pass breakup against D. Wiggins. Again, Miami goes conservative on 3rd and 10 with a run up the middle. No gain. Gervin Hall had a key play in which Yellen had a wide open wide receiver target downfield, would have converted, but Gervin Hall put on the pressure on Yellen. So good quarterback hurry in a key situation from Gervin Hall. The one Miami drive, they got the ball inside their 5 to start the drive. I think at this point they were up, I believe they were up 7-0. Yes, at this point. This is the first quarter play. I don't think we necessarily saw enough of Donald Chaney. He ran the ball 2 straight runs, and it wasn't just that the run play was well blocked. It was Don Chaney picking up yards on himself, by himself. And it wasn't for a freshman, boy, he is well developed, and he's a man. And he was carrying guys and ripping guys forward. So Donald Chaney, I don't know what the final numbers on Donald Chaney, but I'm going to finish my first half analysis and key plays here, and then we'll go to the numbers. Pitt had a bad pass interference call down the left sideline. It was a gift. The ball wasn't going to be caught. It was well thrown out of bounds. I believe that the official made the correct call because it was questionable to being an uncatchable ball. But I don't think the ball was going to be caught. Quincy Roche jumped off sides, gave Pitt a first down. But then that came just before that tremendous play by Isaiah Dunson on the fake punt. Pitt took a big gamble, down only 7-0 at this point. And it cost them. It cost them a touchdown. So Pitt on its own end goes for the fake punt. Isaiah Dunson, with the play was well conceived, but the block was whiffed. So Dunson slipped the block, and Miami was in business at the 45. Rashad Weaver had another sack, but Pitt gives a gift to Miami on the face mask. Miami would have had to punt, but the face mask turns it around. No, that was no. It would have been a field goal try. It would have been a field goal for the Canes. They were like inside the 15 on the face mask. That would have forced a field goal, but the face mask gave the ball inside the 5, And that was just preceding the Will Mallory touchdown, 14-0. Pitt's first 30 plays in this game gained, what do you think? First 30 plays for Pitt, 63 yards. Bubba Bolden would have had a tremendous interception down around the 2 or 3 yard line, got the foot down, but that was the Jalen Phillips roughing the passer. So tough deal for the Canes there, although it was a good call. Jalen Phillips clearly just threw his hand and forearm right into the quarterback's helmet. And Yellen brought him down the field in the pocket. Pitt at some point in the game just figured out that Yellen could succeed throwing out of the pocket, just be a straight drop back passing team. And it worked. Harrison Hunt hit a key sack on 3rd down. That was the 3rd and goal, or 3rd and goal down to the 1. Actually, it was 3rd and 7 with the first down would have been at the 1. And Harrison Hunt had a huge sack that forced the field goal, and it was 14-3 at that point. Okay, I noted here when De'Ara King finally threw the ball downfield, and it was complete to Keyshawn Smith. First downfield throw late in the 2nd quarter. The great play by Paris Ford on the batted ball. We never found out who batted that for Pitt. It was probably Rashad Weaver. He batted just about everything else. And that could be an issue. Do you guys believe that that's maybe an issue about De'Ara King's height? A lot of batted passes at the line. A ton of them. Paris Ford brings back the pick. If you have followed Paris Ford's career, 5-star out of high school, largely a disappointment, playing well at this point. 3rd and short near the goal line, A.J. Davis. This was a bad play call, my goodness. So you got a 14-3 game. You've got 3rd and a half yard, 3rd and a yard, something in that range. And Miami's just too strong in the middle, and Pitt packed it all in. It was obvious what they were running. They ran the off-tackle play to the left. Miami's inside interior defensive line blew it up. And so Pitt had to go for the field goal, 14-6. Okay, Miami comes out at half. Beautiful series here, 6 plays, 75 yards. King hit Pope to get it started. Then the Mike Harley shot for 38 yards, 21-6. But then Yellen comes back, goes up top to Jordan Addison, 55 yards. I don't know who was on the coverage on that play, if it was DJ Ivy. But again, Quincy Roche with an excellent play for a tackle for loss. Kept Pitt out of the end zone, forced the field goal, 21-9. Pitt, though, comes back with another interception. So De'Ara King threw what with the worst pass of the game. The Marquez Williams pick, where he ran it all the way down to the 1. Pitt goes with the play action, and Daniel Moraga scored the touchdown, 21-16. So now we had a game, and we got to see the counter to the turnover chain 2 series in a row for Pitt with the, I don't know what they call it, the big slam dunk. What do they call that? All right, 16 players on the Pitt roster from Florida. You probably heard that several times. 16 players on the Pitt roster from Florida. And Pitt plays in a football-playing state, Pennsylvania. Probably a top 8 to 9 state in the nation. 8 Pitt Panthers from South Florida. Rashad Weaver would be the one that really got away. If you guys know the backstory on Rashad Weaver, certainly let me know. Why Rashad Weaver's not playing somewhere in Florida for somebody. Jay Davis running it down for us. Jay, you've got better things to do. Come on. Great play by Roche and Phillips. They combined on that strip sack, forced the fumble at the 38. And then De'Ara King, all sorts of plays in this Miami attack that break free the backs or the tight ends out of the backfield, where De'Ara King does that 2-step toward the line and then over the top. 28-16. Always love the people that criticize who's talking, but you're watching. Love that. Did you see the Aflac trivia question? Shay, yeah, I don't need to state this because Shay is going to let us all know because she watched the game. She watched the game. They watched the game. So we got Pitt and Miami tied for 5th all-time in Pro Football Hall of Famers with 9. Who can name the 9 Miami Pro Football Hall of Famers? I don't know that I could. I know that I know them all, but to name them is another thing. O.J. Anderson, right? It's in the Hall of Fame. Michael Irvin. Warren Sapp's in the Hall of Fame, correct? Jim Kelly. I'm sure I'm missing a really, really old timer. Ted Hendricks. Didn't he go to Miami? Thanks, Randy. Appreciate it. I think Ted Hendricks went to Miami, didn't he? Miami fans? Ted Hendricks, one of the greatest of all time. He went to Miami, correct? Well, Shay, I know you're a she. I know based on your picture, but you know that there's some people that do some. Shay, you're obviously a fine-looking individual. Okay, anyway, my count's up to 5 Miami Hall of Famers. Who am I missing? Ed Reed, Ray Lewis. I got 7. Who am I forgetting? Frank Gore will be. I got 7. Who am I missing? Who am I missing? Anyway, probably missing some people. I'm sorry, Shay. Reggie Wayne. Reggie Wayne's in the Hall of Fame already? Edgerrin James, thank you. Just went in. Big career for the Colts and the Cardinals, of course. Andre Johnson will be next. So we'll have to look that up. I got 7 or 8 there. Pitt would be more difficult. Pitt's got 9. Mike Ditka, Hugh Green, Tony Dorsett, Dan Marino, Larry Fitzgerald's obviously still playing, but he will be. Aaron Donald. There's 2 really recent ones that will be. And again, I could get the Pitt guys, but yeah, there you go. Bill Fralick. Okay, here we go. Jeremy Shockey going to the Hall of Fame. Really? Jeremy Shockey? George Myra. That's who I was thinking of going way back. That might be my only miss. Kane's blog. Nice job. So anyway, 5th all-time in so I just thought that was sometimes the Aflac trivia question's kind of lame, but today was pretty good considering, you know, you had the 2 teams that were tied playing. You've got USC, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Michigan with more. All right. Miami noted this. I was keeping track of the 3rd down conversions. They came into the game 46%, 25th in the nation. Now that is a ton better. Cortez Kennedy, Chris, thank you. Seattle Seahawks. 46%, an excellent top 25 stat there for Miami. Much better than what they've been the last few years, but not so good this year. Pitt was moving in the 3rd quarter, only down, let's see, 28-16 at this point. Shockey, Jacques Louis, one of the great names in college football with that. Did you see that drop at the 48? Like, there wasn't a guy within like 15 yards of him. Dropped it. All right. And probably Trey Tipton had another drop that would have been a 1st down for Pitt. I didn't realize that the Pitt Panthers led the nation in dropped passes last year and are on pace to do the same this year. And that's when we picked it up live. So I know all of you were eagerly anticipating my notes there. Wanted the big breakdown, Shea in particular. All right, what I miss? I left off with that. Then we went with Ray. I love the Canes. You got to be high on drugs if you think this team is good. Well, it depends what you consider good. I think they're 8-3 good. That's what I picked in preseason. I'll stay with that. The Canes blog, obviously happy we won, but not satisfied. 16 of Pitt's 19 were off Miami mistakes. But they were really, I guess they were, but Pitt made plays to do that. Yeah, the De'Ara King pick on the right side that led to the touchdown that was brought all the way to the one. That was just an awful read and pass by King. The other pick on the left sideline was just a great play by whoever batted the ball at the line, and then Paris Ford to make the pick. So that was not a mistake by Miami. I think both teams made mistakes. I'm not going to say it was like, okay, this team played flawless. This team made a bunch of mistakes to keep them in the game. I think both teams were. Football's a sloppy sport. Like every game's sloppy, unless you're just so much better, Clemson, than Georgia Tech, 73-7. Then that's what happens. Ray, it's only 3 players I would take in the NFL: the punter, kicker, and Bolden. Only 3 players. You don't think Brevin Jordan, Will Mallory, those guys are NFL players? Quincy Roche, Jalen Phillips. Ray's down on the Canes, down on his team. Oh, my goodness, John, did you see that score? They were down 34-14. Syracuse. Ouch. Dino. I don't know. Chris Bradford, Knight on gets the way more burn than Cheney, but I agree he should be in the field more. He runs so hard. Yeah, I like the 2 young running backs. Again, the one series, they came out with Don Cheney 2 consecutive plays, and they gained 25 yards. And it was mostly him. A win's a win, Roland. Thank you. Roland comes back with last year, we would have lost and offense would have scored 0 points. You got a point. Randy, I'm worried about Cheney's shoulder, same shoulder as preseason. I didn't see that he got hurt. I missed that. We got Shea, of course. Of course, you're covering Miami today. Of course, the game's today. So we've got a Miami channel, Shea. So the thought is that we cover Miami. Mike, Pitt is good, but that was your typical Miami noontime clunker. You got the win. You got the win. I know it wasn't overly impressive, but you got the win. We got 60 on the line. You missed my best material up front, so you got to go back and watch after the video posts. Shea would agree. Dennis, good to see you. Well, we got another victory, but I'm not impressed with this win. Who's up next? I think I saw Virginia. Oh, we got a call coming in. Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Who's on the line?
How you doing there, Mark Rogers?
I'm good. How are you?
This is Dave Green.
Oh, okay.
How you doing, buddy?
David, how are you? I'm good.
Good. Doing better after that Pitt-Miami game. I listened to your guy, Steve Merrill, the betting guy, the other night, and he called it. He took Pitt getting the 13 points. I had to sweat it out.
I thought I called it too.
I thought you took Miami.
No, check out that Patreon number. Check out that Patreon page. Not at all.
Oh, you took okay, so you took Pitt getting the points?
Well, I took them with the points. I took Miami to win the game.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's why. Maybe that's what I saw. You just had Miami to win.
I did.
But
yeah.
Okay.
So we're happy today about that game, and we're happy about South Carolina about to win this game. Possibly, I don't know. But anyway, I took South Carolina as a 3-point dog in this one. So
that's
what's
a good call. I tell you,
Yep. What's on your mind concerning Miami and
No,
Pitt?
I just wanted to say real quick about that Miami Pitt game. I put the bet in earlier in the week, and then when did they announce Cody Pickett wasn't going to play, the quarterback?
Kenny Pickett, I heard it from Cam Underwood sometimes yesterday. When did we do that?
Okay.
I lose track of these shows. We do them constantly. Whenever we had him on Thursday or Friday, and he mentioned it, and then I heard it officially this morning.
Okay. Yeah, because I was leery about that with him not playing. So
Sure.
Sweated it out, but that one was good. I've been watching the South Carolina and Auburn game. Boy, Nix continues to look shaky, although it looks like he's trying to pull it out here in the end.
They've got a chance. They got one more play.
Right. Yeah, I swear, I think the SEC is becoming clearer and clearer week in and week out. I mean, tonight's going to, be huge, of course, but I just can't see anybody on that other side of the division challenging Alabama. To be perfectly honest with you, right now.
Absolutely. Anything else on Miami and Pitt?
Well, I just want to say this about Miami.
Sure.
I think Miami is heading possibly in the right direction. I do think next year is a big year for Manny Diaz, by the way. I think, if it's a normal 12-game season and we're through all of this, I think he's going to have to – I don't know what your Miami people feel, but I think – I don't know if he can challenge for the conference, but I think a 9-3, a 10-2, something like that's going to have to be in the cards. I don't know what your Miami people feel, but –
Oh, I think most of the Miami people that watch me wanted a national championship this year. So I don't – that's what it sounds like. So they're not necessarily I shouldn't say. I'm not going to speak for them. It depends on the person. But I think that they're showing progress. I think that they're showing reasonable progress.
Mark, as a friend of mine says, remember, fan stands for fanatic. It does not stand for rational thinker.
Not at all.
So, that's everybody wants their team to go undefeated and win every game 51-0, and I get it. But I think that. It'll be interesting to see the ACC. Clemson recruits unbelievable. What it looks like next year. Trevor Lawrence going to be gone from Clemson. Can they find another generational quarterback? Of course, they recruited at a high level, so they should still be really good. But it'll be interesting to see what they look like in the post-Trevor Lawrence era. I think North Carolina is going to continue to be good. With the way Mac Brown's recruiting. By the way, I took North Carolina today to cover the 13 against Florida State.
Okay.
Yeah, that one looks. Florida State just looks like a dumpster fire. By the way.
They do. They played a little better last week, but absolutely. Yeah, I'm just checking my messages. I got people just commenting. So anything else, David?
No. So I'm looking forward to this Georgia-Alabama game tonight.
Absolutely.
Buckeyes next week, so we're all excited about that. You're going to do the live stream after the Georgia-Alabama game
Yes,
tonight?
we are. You can count on us.
Hey, one last thing I wanted to suggest to you. I like that message that you put out to the subscribers and the people of the channel.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask you, is there a possibility of ever doing a live stream down the road where we have the ability to kind of ask questions and speak with the bloggers that you have on? Because I think you have some really good people on there.
Sure. We just have some issues with feedback and looping in the audio and so forth. So anyway, we'll work on that.
I didn't know if that was a possibility, but
it's definitely a possibility. It's just a technical thing.
Yeah. Hey, last thing too about the off season. I am one of the few people that loves your national championship years. So if you ever bring those back during the off season, count me in as one of the people that'll listen to that.
Well, I appreciate that. I have a whole lot of fun, and for the people that love them, they really love them, and other people don't necessarily pay much attention to those sorts of topics. So I guess it all depends on how many people watch them, but I enjoy doing them. I have a whole lot of fun doing that and can recall most of it, so it's not a lot of work, but it's fun. Thanks, David.
Well,
I appreciate that.
if you ever do it, I've got some suggestions for years if you want to take a look at them from like the 90s and you know, in that time frame, even into the early 2000s. So, you know, I think that'd be fun, and count me down as a viewer because I would definitely watch. So.
Absolutely,
right.
David. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Take care. I'll talk to you later tonight, Mark.
All right, David. Sounds good.
Bye-bye.
Our man, David Greenshield. And the wholesome one wants to jump on here. So we'll see if the wholesome one jumps on here. He would like to. Whoops. All right. We will also need to make sure we got the games rolling that I want to see at 3:30. Well, Texas A&M, Mississippi State. That one's a good one. Could be. If I can get it recorded from here. Come on. All right. What else we got going? Edge, Andre Johnson. We're talking Hall of Famers. We're past that discussion. Appreciate everybody jumping in, helping me with the Miami Hall of Famers. I believe I got all of them except George Myra was the one from Kane's blog that I had forgotten. Yeah, Roland, I don't see Jeremy Shockey getting into the Hall of Fame. There we go. There's the other guy I missed. It's got to be Jimmy Johnson. Coaches, I would think, yeah, they count. They're Hall of Famers. Okay. Sean Jackson, this could be another, conversation for the wholesome one in Cam Underwood this week. We have certainly discussed the wide receivers here. Again, we got 74 on the line, now 75 on the line. And you guys were locked in on the game, so we only had 10 or 15 while the game was on, but we did most of our analysis then. So once the video posts, certainly jump on and check out the conversation. Chad, Jim Otto, Oakland Raiders, of course, not O.J. Anderson. He should be in the Hall of Fame. Do I think Greg Olson will make the Hall of Fame? I'd like to see his numbers. I think he's a borderline guy. He's a guy that caught 55, 60 balls for an extended period of time. And for a tight end, that's substantial. I would think that his tight end numbers are top 5 to 10 all time. But of course, tight ends weren't really implemented in the passing game going way back. Mike Ditka's numbers for his era were ridiculous. Like he caught 10 or 12 touchdown passes in a season a couple times. John Mackey. But nobody really did that until the late 70s. Kellen Winslow, Ozzie Newsome would be the first prolific tight ends. Chris Bradford says 9-2. If we take care of business, North Carolina and Virginia Tech are the 2 question mark games. Dan, we are a run team. No pass blocking. Receivers can't catch. We are a run team. Yeah, no pass blocking, and the receivers can't catch. Eddie, good hard-fought game and a win against a great Pitt defense. Miami rebounded. Good game. Go Kings. Positive Eddie. Look at that. I think there's a mixture there. I understand all the criticism to a certain extent, but you played a good team. And when I say good, I mean if we were playing a regular 12-game season in which Pitt was able to be gifted a few wins like everybody else is against the FCS, they do have a win against Austin P, but there's usually 3 gimme wins for anybody that plays in a major conference, that that they're a 7-5, 8-4 type team. 5 squad. And then you got to be the rewatch squad if you missed any of the live portion, of course. All right, Chris, I bet Auburn is missing Malik Willis. Cheney got banged up with the shoulder. They kept him out. Okay. Beard God Kell. Last 3 seasons, the team would have folded. Could be. Especially the last 2 years, not necessarily that 2017 team, because they won a lot of games like that, the 2017 squad. Good game. We have to keep improving each week. Virginia next week, upset alert. Daniel's putting the Canes on upset alert. Where's the game? I believe the game's no, they played at home last year. They're probably going to Virginia, unless they should be going to Virginia, I would think. So I'm going to say Miami's going to be a solid touchdown, 8-point favorite. Martin, good to see you. Hi, Mark. Good win for the Canes, but we still have work to do on offense. De'Ara King is still struggling, and offensive line needs work. Yes, De'Ara King is a good quarterback. He's not great. He's not great. He's good. Very good quarterback. Good college quarterback. Amon Richards, according to Daniel, last wide receiver we had worth a dang. Lashley needs to somehow develop an intermediate passing game. This short bubble screen or deep-only stuff needs to stop. No more excuses about the offensive line. Short quarterback or bad wide receivers. Figure it out, Lashley. Although that's what you're playing into right there. So anytime you're taking deep shots or intermediate, and you're not just – the batted balls are not an issue when you throw bombs, or typically when you throw screens and swing passes and bubbles. That's where the batted balls become an issue, because this is more of a pocket passing approach when you throw intermediate passing. Daniel, we need to spend all our offers on offensive line, guys. Ace 2. I would laugh if J.J. McCarthy decommits from Michigan. Hairball won't poison another one. Chris Bradford, 9-3 is probably the minimum expected in year 3 with the Coastal Division Championship. Baird, hit the like button. Thank you so much for that. Of course, the Super Chat's on as well. Here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. And as our caller David pointed out, we're on Patreon. There you get my college football predictions, in which I would have made you rich at noon. Clemson -27. South Carolina, a money line win, +3 against Auburn. Kentucky, a money line win, +6 against Kentucky. Clemson -27. And now we've got what happened in the West Virginia game. Anyway, would have made you a rich individual there at noon. So join us on Patreon. Just search Mark Rogers TV. Go to Patreon, search Mark Rogers TV. You get the insider look. You get the predictions from me. You get the betting information, all of it. All right, Daniel, honestly don't care what we end up. 1 loss, 2 loss. We'll probably lose the bowl game again. Oh, yeah. Open with Bama. Terrence Templeton, thanks for the content, Mark. Go Canes. Thank you, Terrence. Appreciate that. And welcome to Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Like and subscribe. Terrence, thank you. Terrence, have we connected on here? This is the first time I remember seeing your name and avatar, and you're diving right in and letting people know, please subscribe and like the videos. Thank you. D. Nice. The Canes played the two best defensive lines they will face the last 2 weeks. Good point. The offensive line has got to improve the rest of the year. Good point. They get a bit of a breather in terms of the talent and ability. And they talked about the Pitt depth on the defensive line, which is attributed to schools like Clemson, Alabama, Ohio State, when you can bring in the waves of defensive linemen. And apparently Pitt has that. 904 Hurricane. Thank you. Got to hit the like button. We appreciate it. Martin, very happy for young Robert Burns starting to work his way for more playing time. He is. The high school phenom. Daniel, yes. Devin Hester, you would think, would make the Hall of Fame. Maybe Calais Campbell.
Mark, what's up, brother?
There he is. We got the wholesome one on the line. Miami a winner, 31-19 over Pitt.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, it feels good. It feels good. There's a lot in that game I was very angry with as I'm watching it. But the outcome is, you're going to have games like that, Mark. You're going to have games where you don't really play your best. And when it mattered, De'Aaron King and the offense made some plays. That last drive was the best drive I've seen in a while, where they literally just not only took what the defense gave them, but also dictated to the defense, spreading them out, and also come close together, read options, instead of just handing it off right into a TFL. We did some things to hold that game off, but it was sometimes there it looked like, if Pitt's starting QB is there, I don't know how this game comes out, honestly, because the defense was very shaky. I'm getting really tired of the bend, don't break mentality. I understand all the talent across college football, but there's sometimes, Mark, where it's just like, are we serious here? Really? This freshman's just going to carve us up and down the field? But, I mean, hey, we got to win, and hashtag beat Pitt is what we did. Don't like it, but.
Because that's what Pitt was able to do in the second half, was they became a drop back passing team on some of those drives, and they did pretty well.
Yep. And they had to score to get to 19, but majority of it was all field goals.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like I said, the bend don't break defense is kind of modern. I mean, it's going to be really tough to hold teams like we talked about earlier this week, 6-9. You won't be able to do that anymore. But it just seemed like we just do it every single week. And the glaring issues at linebacker continue to show up. Tight ends and running backs are having career days against Miami week in and week out. Not really running back today, but I mean, blaring. Zach McLeod is in man coverage on the tight end. The tight end on a play action pass. He's still in his stance. The tight end is 4 yards away from him in the back of the end zone wide open. But I will say, I think the staff is also noticing this stuff and really starting to give players minuses and pulling snap count down, because Sam Brooks and Corey Flagg Jr., who are the backups to the starters of Bradley Jennings and Zach McLeod, almost got equal snaps. So that means that, the snap count, the positive, negative is actually going into what's happening on the football field. I mean, John Ford and Miller. Miller had a really good game today, playing well, but stats-wise, they weren't doing anything. So what's happening now? Harrison Hunt gets another sack. He's in the game, playing more often. So I'm really loving what I'm seeing as far as they aren't doing, at least on the defensive side of the ball. At wide receiver, it's still the whole, seniority crap. But on the defensive side of the ball, if you don't make plays, you get pulled out. And I like that.
So I'll run down some things that I have that you may be able to give some insight to.
Hit me.
De'Aaron King gets a lot of passes batted down. Is that just a height issue?
I think it was because the plays that I watched, his passes were being swatted on the edges, which means that they were reading the RPO. And so instantly that DN who was getting read is just running by and getting his hands up so that he's forced to give. as opposed to drop back and try to throw that now route. Because when he did, it was getting swatted down. Because, I mean, the narrative about him being 5'9", I would think the swatted passes would be where the guards are. But it wasn't. It was when he was trying to throw those now routes to the edges that the balls were getting swatted down, in my opinion.
Wholesome one, do you remember when Rashad Weaver was being recruited? Do you remember anything about his recruitment?
I actually don't. No.
Okay.
I
don't either. I just think the guy's a stud.
He is. I don't understand how, and he could. I don't know if he's a hometown guy. I don't know much about him. But, you know, all the talk is about the other DN who has all the sacks. But Weaver looked like the way better player in this game. And, you know, when you turn on the film, he kind of jumps off to you. Like, who's this dude? 17, dude. You know, he's a lot more
Florida. I don't know where in Florida, but he's from Florida.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, I don't have
to bring that up. Yeah, he's a stud, and they've got Jordan Addison, who's a stud wide receiver, a freshman, had like 150 yards receiving. So the other thing that caught my eye, let's see what else here. So there were complaints in the live chat about Lashley's play calling, but again, in this game in particular, he did draw up 2 plays. You know, they scored 4 touchdowns. He drew up 2 plays that were just had nothing to do with skill or talent, had everything to do with just the play call. The Mallory just open, just right out of the H-back position in which he circled behind the offensive line. And then, of course, the Cam Harris play, the first touchdown.
I mean, those were dialed up plays, but I like the way that we show that we can have a big play. But what bothers me, Mark, is the simple fact that for about 20 years, the MO on Miami has been big play, solid defense. Meaning we're just big play on offense and we just play solid defense. You know, pretty good sometimes, and it's been so-so, you know, under the Al Golden years. But either it's really good, pretty good, or so-so on defense. And we live off of the big play on offense. Because you look at this game, it's literally 4 plays. You know, you have the Cam touchdown, you have the Will Mallory, and you also have the one where they set it up to where it looked like that QB draw that we do every third down. And Will Mallory runs smack dab wide open down the middle of the field. So we show that we have it in there. We show that we can do that. I want to see more of being able to sustain a drive like we did and finish it out with a touchdown. Now, when I mean that doesn't mean we have to sit in I formation and play like it's 1981. But I mean, I love the fact we sat there. I talked about this on my film session. It got to a point where people would key in on that clap. That meant the ball's going to come out right now. Nope. We clapped. We stopped, looked around, looked to the sideline, had our adjustments, and then we went and called the play. So we were able to be sustainable and go down the field, milk a little clock, because the defense did play well, but it felt like they were on that brink of about to break if they had a couple more drives. They were like right there where they could have tilted over, and it could have been 7 or 8 more points for Pittsburgh. So that's where my mind is. But at the same time, man, I really think this whole game is different if Pickett is playing. Those times where the rush lanes for the D-line and the QB steps up and he throws it instead of taking off, Pickett is taking off. And even this backup tore us. I mean, he had 215 yards in 1 quarter, Mark. He threw for 215 in a quarter. Just literally was just boop, 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 boop.
Wow, I didn't realize that. Wow. Yeah,
it was horrible. The third quarter was like really bad defensively. I mean, we held him from scoring to a certain extent, but he was able to just carve us on having to go full. And thank God our punter's good to where, you know, that was the talk of the game for a while. These 2 punters are really good. How embarrassing is that? These 2 punters, man, they are great.
You got the wholesome one on here talking Miami, of course, with a win over Pitt today to go to 4-1 on the season. Canes win it 31-19. Pretty much what I anticipated in regards to not coming down to the wire, but it was still a game with 5-6 minutes left. And as the wholesome one pointed out when he first jumped on, the impressive last drive by Miami to salt the game away, or not technically the last drive, but the second to last drive, the one that really mattered, where they killed the clock. And and took it down the field to win the game 31-19 on the field goal. So Isaiah Dunson, he made a great play on the fake punt.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. But yet again, why is it that young players are magically better than the older players? What does that mean, Mark? What does that mean? Now they're playing instinctively as opposed to being robots and doing what coach says do because coach says do it. I mean, you look at Corey Couch. He's just out there playing ball. Looked like one of the best corners we had in a long time. The way he just turned around, he's attacking the football, he's swatting it down, he's playing with confidence. But then, the flip side of that argument is also, is it just because Corey Couch is just that dang good? And he has just that level of confidence. So he's able to go out there and play that way. Hey, and at the end of the day, you want your younger players to be older because that means you're recruiting to a different level. And it starts to get better. Now you pass on, and now, Corey Couch goes on to be a junior or a redshirt sophomore, wherever he is. And then now you bring in a Marshall or something like that, a 5-star corner to where he's even better than Corey Couch. You want to keep going. That is a good question that we're all wondering. There's a lot of rumors about this Daz Worsham thing. I don't know, so I can't speak on something I don't know. But there's a lot of back and forth going on there. We don't
lives ×3. Appreciate that super chat contribution. Thank you so much for that. We've got Anthony chiming in. Wholesome one. Should I be worried as a Canes fan if the Eric Kane continues to struggle like he's been doing so far after Clemson and Pitt and having the same issues with quarterback?
I think it will within your right to have a little worry. I was definitely worried with some of the reads that I've seen. It's been consistent with the little issues as far as his read options, as far as choosing to throw the ball sometimes or how he throws it. It's like he kind of that I like the play the next down mentality, but sometimes it's like, well, it's 2nd and 13, and he just instead of trying to make a play, he just throws it away or throws an uncatchable ball just to technically play the next down, as opposed to make a play when we need a play to be made offensively. But I think it is warranted to have a little issue with it. You feel a little uneasy about some of the things you saw. But then I also think there's confidence being built because in my heart, I'm happy that we won the game because in my tenure of studying this team to the level that I am, we usually lose this game. And we end up losing it either in a heartbreaker or in a blowout to where it just looks like we didn't care. But we cared, we played hard, we fought back, and I don't think we ever was down. I think we led the entire game. Because it was 7-0, then it was like 3-7, and we got to 10, and they still had 3. Yeah, we never were down. We led the entire game. After we scored, of course, because if it's 0-0, obviously you don't lead. But once we finally scored, we never were down. So are there some things that this staff and these players are going to be able to go and watch and get better on? Absolutely. But we got a nice home win. I think this is one of the longer winning streaks in the series since we've been in the ACC Coastal with Pitt, because usually it was like back and forth. Now we got 3 straight. And at the end of the day, it's behind us, Mark. I mean, yeah, we could talk about it today. It feels good. We got a W. It's a nice smile on our face. But could we be frustrated with a couple things? Absolutely. And when it comes to De'Aaron King, I think he has a lot to work on. But even he knows that, so he's going to get better. But what I like to be able to say is how great it is to be able to have all these things to work on with a W, not with an L. So how much better could this team actually be? We'll see. And if we just keep getting better week by week by week and working on little things week by week by week, you'll see a completely different squad come week 9, week 10. And hopefully we get another shot at Clemson at the end. But that's a little further down the line. But I'm just saying, if we go week by week, you never know where we can end up at the end of the season.
Wholesome one, do you ever get a question like this? Mark, how would you rate our football IQ? I'm not going to touch that one. I am not going to. Dan, we appreciate the question.
Pass.
No, actually, I learned a lot from, of course, from the Wholesome one. and from Cam about Miami personnel, the breakdowns, the X's and O's, and everything. But I learned from all of you in the live chat. So consider this. I was watching Miami Pitt play at the same time I was watching Tennessee and Kentucky because I'm going to do instant analysis on that game that I was watching South Carolina and Auburn play. I've got 3 games. I'm trying to watch everything. I got a notepad. I'm taking like notes after notes after notes after. Yeah. So that's how I watch football. And because what I'm trying to do here, look at Miami. And with what I'm trying to do here, what I am doing is trying to cover all these major games. And you know, I throw the DVR on these 3:30 games, and now I'll be going back and cutting out all the commercials and catching up with all of those. So my point is that I learned from not just the Wholesome One and Cam, but all of you to a certain extent, because you guys are locked in on Miami football. So that's an interesting question, but I'm not going to touch that one with a 10-foot pole. Before we let you go, Wholesome One, because I'm going to move on to the other channel and I'm going to cut a instant analysis on Kentucky and Tennessee. You mentioned to Corey Couch. You mentioned Isaiah Johnson on the one particular play. Who else flashed for you? That's not necessarily a star.
Number one, I gotta let me give not only with the flash, I'll also give in my closing remarks, I'll give my positives for the game, period. Guys who did really well across the board. Mike Harley. He struggled, but what a play. What a play to where, and to me, honestly, what a really good throw. Because if you throw it too much to the left, he catches it and gets stripped and drifts out of bounds. Throws it too much inside, then we don't know how he could react to the ball. If he puts it on a line, he may drop it because it may just be too much of a beam and he throws it too hard. So when he was able to throw it and redirect his momentum inside, he was able to run up the field. But what a great job as far as spinning back in, making a football play. It seems like our wide receivers, they just catch it and instantly they just stiff arm and run out of bounds. Catch, stiff arm, run to the near sideline. Like it's the 2-minute drill. Instead of just being athletes, man. So that was really, really nice to see. The defensive line did okay today. Pretty good. Nestor Silvera flashed again, making some plays. They almost called it targeting on him at the end of the game. I don't know if you saw that. Well, I don't know what was that all about, but they obviously didn't call it. I think if that's Trevor Lawrence or any big-time QB, then they probably get that call because it's just, there's politics in it. Our defensive ends did pretty well. I think there was another fumble that we didn't even go after or try to review coming off the edge because Jalen Phillips comes in and gets a strip sack. And the line judge literally just runs in and automatically throws the fist up for 4th down while there's a skirmish for the ball on the ground. We come up with the ball, and he's just like, nah, it's already 4th down. When you watch the replay, it was a clear recovery by a Miami defense end, but he just magically called it 4th down. And instead of putting it to review, Coach Diaz didn't say anything. They get 3 points out of that, as opposed to, us holding them completely out of it. That's something we got to do because the inverse happens, and their head coach makes sure the referee understands I'm reviewing that. And it was obvious that it was a fumble for us, but he still reviewed it. You got to get Coach Diaz to do stuff like that. Last year versus Georgia Tech, Mark, there was a clear sack. Georgia Tech for a safety. He didn't even call for review. He just was like, all right, go to the next play, guys. It's like we got to make sure that's your job. As a head coach, things like that is something we have to focus in on. But anyway, that's enough negative energy. Good stuff that I saw from the edge rush on both sides. Saw the turnover chain today. Al Blaze Jr. played pretty good. Corey Couch, of course. Bubba Bolden does his thing. You're just going to beat him and make his plays. I love the fact that we are awarding good play with play time. So you got to see Sam Brooks and Corey Flack Jr. in there. I really love seeing that. Jose Borregales is still Jose Borregales, making his field goals with no problem. So special teams look really, really good today. In my eyes, punting and kicking. They did very, very well. If anybody gets an A+, it's our special teams, punting, kicking, and returning. No fumble, muff punts, or anything like that. So that's really good. So we'll we'll see with that, man. I could go ham on D. Wiggins, but I'm not going to do it. I'm going to let that go. But there needs to be some ramifications for what's going on at wide receiver, because you gotta bring the football in. You can't be a Power 5 starter and just can't simply catch the football. And then people are going to put it on De'Aaron King when he's giving you a chance. College football is what? Back shoulder fades, 50-50 balls all over college ball. Am I wrong, Mark? QB literally just lob the thing up 9-10. Like, just, hey, make a play. And we're not doing it. We're not doing it. At least he's not doing it. All right, but hey, running game was a little today. O-line was a little today. But the biggest thing is we got that W. Now, once we talk again, maybe Tuesday or Thursday, after I've had the chance to sit, do my film review, and get more on this game from having to dissect the game, I'll probably be able to give a better analysis. But an instant analysis, I think, hey, number one, the Miami Hurricanes won. #beat Pitt. Number two, we didn't lose to Clemson twice, like Cam talked about, and like a lot of us have spoken about. You lose a big game, and usually the next week we lost. I mean, when it was Tallahassee, you knew it was going to be 2 or 3 games after it. When it was, whatever big game we lost, we usually lost the very next week. You got to see the team. It came and showed up. We need to be a lot more focused. A lot of undisciplined stuff going on that I didn't like. Stupid penalties and roughing the passers that just didn't make any sense. Like, why would you do that? But at the end of the day, I think this staff are gonna pull things together, and I think the leaders on this team is going to get things refocused. Shout out to Will Mallory too, being able to replace Brevin Jordan and make some really good plays. But you want to talk about dominant teams, Mark? Clemson 73, GT 7. That's where we want to be. Is where we're able to take teams who are inferior and kick their butt. But today, we got to win.
And I made note of that when I came on to say Clemson didn't just move on to the next opponent and say, oh, we're just going to slide by and win by 15 or 20, and we can do that in our sleep and then move on to the next opponent. No, they went out and just annihilated the next opponent. A team that's not a good team, but still an improving team, a much improved team that just beat Louisville by 17 points, that just beat Florida State, that's going to win some more games, that is on a fast track to respectability. Not just some FCS or low group of 5 team.
They beat Georgia Tech worse than they beat Citadel.
Yeah.
It was just like, you know what? We're just going to let everyone know who we are today. It's just go crazy. So, hey, Mark, I got to get out of here. But
I appreciate it.
Came on and said something to you.
No, thank you so much.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you for having me on, Mark.
Thanks, Wholesome One. Appreciate it. We'll catch you sometime this week.
Of course. 2 times this week, baby.
Catch him right there. HOLSUM and the number 1, Wholesome One. We expect all of you to subscribe on over there. And I had just noted right there, I could have made you rich at noon. Clemson -27. South Carolina +3. Plus, I said they'd win it outright. Kentucky +6. Plus, I said they'd win outright. And then, of course, Miami to win the game, but Pitt +the 13 points. There was a 5th one in there somewhere. All right, Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Please lock it in on the main channel for the rest of the day. We've got a Kentucky-Tennessee instant analysis coming, along with, of course, following Georgia-Alabama in the game of the year thus far. We'll go live and take your calls as well. I appreciate everybody jumping in here. Again, thank you so much for the contributions in the live chat. I don't know who else goes through and reads almost every comment in the live chat. No, it's great to see everyone. Congrats on the win, assuming most of you, just about all of you, are Miami fans. You're 4-1. There you go. And you're in line to knock them all off and get back at Clemson in the ACC championship game. Take care next week against Virginia, and we will, of course, preview that game. Lock it in right here. We'll see you next time.